What does happiness look like for you guys?
Enjoying time with my siblings, it feels a lot more free.
It's wonderful to be surrounded by my children. There's laughter again. We have a lot of new furry friends.
It's a zoo.
It is a zoo, and it's funny because like they chew up all the floorboards and everything. And I'm just thinking, if Ruby was here, she'd be furious. But Ruby's not, and I don't care, and I'm happy.
Now, we reached out to Jody and Ruby for comment. Jody had no response. Ruby responding, saying she does not want to cause any distress to the Franke children and wants them to know they are loved and her priority. You can watch the new docu.
You know, when he's saying all those things, I'm just like, I'm shaking my head. Like, how does the public really believe he had no involvement in this? And he's now going before like government bodies and, you know, begging him to make laws against this, that of what he was involved in, you know? I just find it sort of ludicrous. Schmitty from the chat. Welcome, Schmitty. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. Wonder if the kids will ever see their father's fault. This is going from bad to worse. The pendulum cannot find Earth. Schmitty, I think you're right. And we said this the whole time that we covered this, that he was involved, and why was he not being charged at this, you know? Carol Grayston, our moderator, thank you so much for being in the chat and for doing what you do. Phil, your thoughts about this? I mean, again, this documentary starts tomorrow night on Hulu, and I think the position they're going to take, of course, is that Ruby was the devil and he was the good guy. And I mean, if they bring in the second devil, it would have to be Jody Hildebrandt. But I'd be interested to see what position they take on this case.
Is this going to be final thoughts, Bill?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. My thoughts on what you just said is this. Yeah, Ruby Franke, Jody Hildebrandt, to bring all of this terror onto her children. So even though earlier I might have said she was like the main catalyst, meaning Hildebrandt, Ruby Franke allowed it. The husband allowed it. I would like to see some of the details of what are going to be in this documentary, because we're probably going to be able to understand a little bit more about what was going on. It's just a terrible, terrible situation. I just hope and pray that these kids can, you know, salvage their lives and be somewhat productive. I mean, mother in jail for maybe up to, like you said, 30 to 60 years, whatever it may be, knowing that your mom betrayed you, you know, brought this horrible situation onto you. So it's going to be a lot for those kids to overcome. You know, the money factor here, I think that it's just continuing with Kevin. I don't think he did this out of the goodness of his heart. I'm sure that he got paid for this docuseries. So it's they got caught up in the YouTube thing. They started making a lot of money. They abused their children. I mean, he may not have been the person that was at the hand of the abuse based on not being charged, but it's just terrible how money can sway your good judgment, you know, especially when it comes to children. It's terrible.
You know, some of the things that Ruby Franke, some of the abusive things she did to her children was, of course, making them do this show as often as they did do it. But she would also use other things like sleep deprivation and food deprivation.
Depriving them of
children. And that is like, Mike, that is really abuse, to deprive a child of food. And even when the child went to school, the teacher said, "Where's the lunch?" And she said, "She's not going. She's being punished. She's not allowed to have lunch today." I mean, even the teacher was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Yeah, Billy, and Phil, that's totally a red flag. And I think as I'm looking at this, at the son talk about his dad and sitting right next to his dad, my guess is that although she was, they were both what I consider abusive parents, her abuse of the children was overt, yelling at them, screaming at them, putting them in timeout, making them sleep in a beanbag chair, making them sleep outside, making them run down the dirt road in bare feet, you know, things like that. Where his abuse of the children were neglectful and quiet and allowing passively for his wife to abuse them overtly. So I think although he is 50% guilty, just as his wife is, the children see it a different way because the mother was so over the top, but yet his abuse was very quiet. Hopefully in the future, they will come to see, and I don't wish anything bad on Kevin, but I do hope that in the future, the children, get together and reevaluate what they see in their parents and see him for what he truly was. And that was a very neglectful father.
Mike, it reminds me of the crime omission.
Right.
And omission is the failure to act when you have a legal obligation to act. And that defines Kevin Franke 100%. I'm going to tap myself on the back for that one.
No, that's good. That's 100%.
I said obligation earlier. When you have
Yeah.
children, you have an obligation to protect them and keep them from harm, and just failed in every shape, every manner. And Billy, we had Patricia DeMango, Judge Patricia DeMango, on the show numerous times. There was a case years ago where a woman had a child. I think it was a 7 or 8 year old child. Brought a boyfriend into the house. The father was gone. Over time, he began abusing the child, hitting the child. He eventually killed the child. They were both tried independently. Patricia DeMango saw both cases. She oversaw both cases. She gave the guy who killed the little girl 25 years. She gave the mother an extra 5 years because the mother clearly allowed it based on statements that she made to the police. She knew what was going on. She never reported to police. She never tried to stop it. And because she allowed this scumbag boyfriend to kill her daughter, Patricia DeMango, the judge in the case, gave her an extra 5 year sentence, which I think is very, very just. And in this case, I'm getting a little bit, crazy about it, that he's walking free of all of this and doing documentaries on Hulu. So it's a little frustrating, but again, I'll throw it back to what I think probably took place was with the prosecution.